And now, great pleasure, joining us, General Jack Keane, Fox News senior strategic analyst. General Keane, you are a busy fella, working overtime. We thank you very, very much for helping us out this evening. First question, I guess, is have you learned anything more after the Zelenskyy conversation? And failing that, what is your perspective on this land swap and, potential red line?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. One is I think Zelenskyy handled himself very well during the Oval Office meeting, and certainly the introduction to the security guarantee meeting with the Europeans, which we all witnessed, in stark contrast to several months ago when he managed to blow up the meeting in the Oval Office in front of international American media. So that was a vast improvement. And I really think, which has already been said, all I can do is underscore it, is the significance of what President Trump has done here. First of all, so our audience to understand, Larry, he has been talking to these European leaders and Zelenskyy for weeks. And they dialogue virtually or on the phone on a regular basis. A case in point, after an exhausting day at the Alaska summit, sometime between 1 a.m. and 2:30 in the morning on Air Force One, which has very good secure comms, he spoke to Zelenskyy and all those European leaders for an hour and a half and finished up the conversation on the tarmac because they didn't want to leave those secure comms even though they had landed. And so this dialogue has been continuous for some time, but bringing them together and talking to each other is always more vital than a virtual or even a phone call. So he understood that. But think of that. He calls them, it's early Saturday morning, their time, and he says, listen, I want you to come to Washington on Monday, and we'll have a meeting with Zelenskyy, and we'll iron out, what these security guarantees are and what a kind of a counteroffer, if Zelensky's willing to do it, would look like. Well, that's Saturday morning. That means they're all flying Sunday to get here, and most all of them were here last night, given all the security stuff I saw going on in town last night. So that's an amazing response, given who those leaders are. But it also, in my mind, it demonstrates their commitment and the resolve here. They are really about this. They're dead serious. And, Putin brought a lot of this on himself. You have one of the new NATO members there in Finland. Sweden's the other one since he went to war. NATO has now agreed to go from 2% to 5% on defense. I mean, that is extraordinary. They are all in. At the last Rome meeting, when everybody was physically together, the NATO leaders told our U.S. team, look, money is not going to be an object for us. We are in this, okay? We're going to see this thing through. So Trump knows that, and he's bringing them together for even stronger resolve and commitment going forward, and to work with Zelenskyy here on what is adequate security guarantees. I think that conversation has to go first before Zelenskyy can put on the table a counteroffer to Putin, which is take the Donetsk region and freeze everything else. And what has he given up in that? Nothing. Not a thing. He quote says security guarantees would be reasonable, but there's no hair on any of that. He already has a spokesperson out there saying for him today, it's in the media right now, that there's no way that we will ever agree to international troops in Ukraine. So the pushback is already coming from Putin on that subject. So there's hard work ahead. But listen, we cannot underestimate these European leaders, Zelenskyy and the president, working on this together to forge a deal with Putin in a trilateral meeting. They're going to go in there with the bit of the wind on their back for sure, and we'll see what comes of it. Putin, we know who he is. He likely will not agree to anything immediately. He'll agree to study it, look at it, drag it out, deflect it with other issues, drag out negotiations. How do we know that? That's what he's been doing for 6 months. So it remains to be seen. But I give the president a lot of credit for what's been happening here today.
I call it warp speed, and I think it's really quite remarkable. And you're right, every step of the way that you've described. We're going to put the map up back on the wall, the Ukraine map up. I mean, I don't see, and this may be a necessity. You know, some things in life are unfair. It just seems like whatever happens, Ukraine is going to be treated unfairly. Putin is going to get virtually everything he wants, General Keane. That's my hypothesis. Feel free to disagree. But the way this momentum is going for peace, and I think I think the rest of the world wants peace. They want an end to this war that probably shouldn't have started in the first place. It's going to be, some things in life are unfair. We're going to have to deal with the future. Future bridges will be crossed whenever they're going to be crossed. But I think, unfortunately, Putin's going to get an awful lot, perhaps everything he wants, sir. Well,
that would really be unfortunate. I think negative things would happen as a result of that, for sure. Mm-hmm. If these security guarantees have the teeth in it that it should have, and you know whether the United States participates, I think they should. Because we already have 5 brigades in there. We can slip some troops into Ukraine easily. It's a political issue in the United States, largely in the Republican Party. I kind of get that, what the issue would be here. But if you look at it from what really would get to Putin, that's one of the things for sure would get to him. And, the idea that this is about forever wars, that's nonsense. If we're giving the European troops a security guarantee that we're going to go to war if Putin reattacks, we're already there. Let's put a little bit more prevention from that happening by putting at least a minimum amount of troops on the ground. But I don't want to make it about the United States troops on the ground. The real issue is Putin here, and how he is going to deal with the reality of this. I gotta believe, Larry, that we have told Putin in no uncertain terms. Maybe President Trump hasn't said it to ruin the relationship. But I got to believe Rubio or one of his guys have told their counterparts, if you stiff us on this at the trilateral, the president is going to crush your economy. And he's got the Congress behind him to support it. And they got to know he really means business. After his decisive attack to take down Iran's nuclear program and end the war a day later, that's a clear neon sign that he means business, and certainly he's already increasing military assistance to Ukraine. They take it seriously that he means it on tariffs and sanctions, or otherwise he never would have asked for the meeting, Putin. It was about India and the 50% tariff. And you know better than anybody, because you're my economic mentor here, that we can go into the SWIFT transactions and not shut them down in 6 months.
Yes.
We can go at them immediately.
Yes.
And start taking his revenue away and begin to put him out of business.
We can clobber him.
So we still have a hammer.
Just quickly, sir. I think the security guarantee part is therefore essential because I'm not that optimistic about the land swap. That's why I think the security guarantee is so essential. I think President Trump is speaking. Did someone whisper that in my ear? And I've got to. Pardon? No, Trump's not speaking. Okay, so we can finish this, General. I think the security guarantee is going to be absolutely essential. The red line that you drew before, that's the key to preserving Ukraine and making this okay. It's not going to be perfect, but I think that's the key. Please, what's your take on that? That's just so essential, I think.
I think it's the strength of the deal, and if Zelensky sees that this has really got some teeth in it, there's some troops, there's some air power support,
right. There's
obviously going to be intelligence. They're going to upbuild him militarily because China, Iran, and North Korea are going to continue to arm Putin, even though there's an agreement. But I think what will happen, if there is a commitment, I think there should be, that it should be ratified by the Senate so it has legs beyond the Trump administration. That gives Zelensky a lot of running room, Larry, in terms of options he doesn't want to do now, but he may be willing to do if he's got that. And he could trade something. He probably wants his nuclear power plant back at Zaporizhia and some of the terrain around that. He would probably want some things back at Hershon. I don't know all the things he wants to do, but I'm sure he's got a list. And would he be more willing to make this deal over this key terrain and swap something out for it if he had security guarantees? Only he can answer that. But I know it's a realistic question for him to consider once those security guarantees are committed to.
Yes. General Keane, thank you, sir. I know you're on all day. We appreciate your services and your knowledge and your insights. We appreciate it very, very much.